Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, goblins, dwarves, elves, all the people, welcome to a cast of players, the ritual of the Blood Temple. If you haven't already, please go back and watch all of our prelude episodes so you can get to know the adventurers a bit more before we delve into this rich tapestry of death and adventure I have prepared for them. I am your humble host, the Dungeon Master, B-Bone. We have the Spider, Chef, Sanger, and Beard, adventurers, and my new pawns. It's a bit rude. Before we delve straight into this adventure, I thought it would be appropriate to read you a history of Arcadon to set the scene. So, if you will allow me to regale you with this tale, sit back and enjoy. In the beginning, before Arcadon had a name, before the first people took their fledgling steps, before the war in heaven, and even before the gods, stood Abahu, the world tree. It was the center of existence, a beacon in the bleakness of the cosmos that held within it the gift of creation. Abahu's roots ran deep into the earth and drank the lifeblood of the planet. Its colossal trunk spanned several large kingdoms and rose far above the clouds, where its mighty branches sprouted leaves that were evergreen and bore the fruits of forbidden knowledge. It is said Abahu's bark shimmered silver, and its reflection reached out across the heavens, as if beckoning for someone to find it so it could share its gift with them. It was the gods who answered Abahu's call. They descended from the heavens upon their chariots of fire, led by their mighty warrior king, the Demriarg, a being who radiated with the light of a dying star. Under his guidance, the gods cultivated a home for themselves upon Abahu's crown. Velor Salim, the kingdom of the gods, was said to be a serene paradise, a city made of gold with sprawling gardens and architectural marvels, the likes of which have not been seen since the dawn of our history. It was the Demriarg who named Arcadon, but it was Bahana, the architect, who gave us life. Bahana harvested the fruits of forbidden knowledge from Abahu and planted them in the gardens of Velor Salim. Many wonders were created, but most importantly, with the essence of the world tree and the lifeblood of Arcadon coursing through our veins, Bahana bore us out into Arcadon. We were the first peoples, and we were Abahu's ultimate gift. Bahana loved the first peoples from our very first moment. To her, we were Abahu made manifest. She believed through us, the gods would be able to commune with the world tree and learn all the secrets of the cosmos. While some of the gods agreed with her, many did not, including the Demriarg. He saw the first peoples as nothing more than insects, lowly playthings whose mortal flames were snuffed out before they truly began. To him, the idea that we had anything to teach the gods was absurd. Angry at Bahana for wasting the fruits of Abahu on such a trivial exercise, he decreed that all of the first people should be purged from Arcadon, and any mention of them stricken from the annals of Velor Salim. Bahana, determined to save us from damnation, begged the Demriarg for mercy. The pair had once been soulbound, and she told Demriarg that if he wanted to erase the first peoples from all existence, he would have to destroy her as well. In doing so, he would prove that their love had truly been meaningless. At this, Demriarg relented. He allowed the first peoples to live, on the condition that both us and Bahana were to be banished from Velor Salim for all eternity. And so, with Bahana as our guide, we left the kingdom of the gods. However, much to the dismay of the Demriarg, we were not alone. Other gods followed. Threndrin, the master craftsman, Viriana, the goddess of the harvest, Nagal, watcher of the oceans, and Samsun, the keeper of the light, were the first, and as time went on, others followed. With the gods as our guide, we carved our home into Arcadon. Nourished with the knowledge of the gods, the first peoples flourished. We learned to master the seasons, build our own monuments, read the heavens and traverse the ocean. It was a time of plenty, and as such we multiplied. And the more we multiplied, the more we changed. The first people evolved into 3 separate races that better suited their environment and temperament: the Ashai, the Durakan, and the Monkau. The Ashai grew to love the stars, constantly searching the heavens so they could become one with the gods. They found beauty in the natural world and made their homes in the forests of Arcadon. As such, they grew thin and slender like the trees of their homelands. The Durakan, on the other hand, followed Thrundrin into the depths of Arcadon. They desired the hidden treasures buried deep beneath the surface and built great subterranean kingdoms so they could till the earth of its precious gems and stones. They grew stout, and strong like the roots of the world tree. The Monkau were the proudest of the 3 races. Whilst the Ashai and Durakan were blessed with long life, the mortal flame of the Monkau burned quickly. But as it did, the ferocity of their fire radiated out for all to see. The Monkau, relentless in their quest to leave their mark on history, spilled out to the farthest corners of Arcadon. They lived wherever they were able, forging homes for themselves in even the most unforgiving of environments. They tamed the wilds to do their bidding, using every resource available to them so that they would be remembered for all time. All the while we prospered, the Demriag watched on. Every achievement made by the first people filled him with more jealousy and resentment. His love for Bahana turned to malice. Before long, he decided the first people should be eradicated. It was then he came to Arcadon, guised as a prophet called the Magus. He told the peoples of Arcadon that the gods had fooled them into a state of subservience. He told us that the gods were hiding the truth from them, that the power of immortal life was something that should be achievable by all, and through him and his word, he could give us the gift of immortality. Many flocked to his word. The Monkau were especially drawn to his teachings, being those who were not gifted with long life. Before long, the Demriag had grown his disciples to a point where he thought he would be able to overthrow Bahana and her fellow gods. And so came to pass the war in heaven. The gods went to war. Loyalties on both sides met in savage conflict, and Arcadon was drenched in the blood of the first people. Confusion and anarchy reigned. Brother and sister fought one another, and a darkness descended upon Arcadon. Families were torn apart, and the first people were thrust into turmoil. Bahana, realizing that the Demriag was an unstoppable force, delved deep into the heart of Arcadon. Finding the roots of Abahu, she asked for guidance, begging for a path to salvation. It was then the answer was given. In a final assault on Velorceline, with all of her children, she bound herself to the power of the world tree. Using the gift of creation as a weapon, she channeled the energy against the Demriag, banishing him from the world. As a result, Abahu was destroyed, and in doing so, her own body was obliterated into pure energy. The Demriag was defeated. The war was won, but at a terrible cost. Abahu was no more. A smoking husk was all that remained, with its remnants scattered across all of Arcadon. Abahu's last gift to the world was the power of creation. The radiation of the explosion filled many with the lifeblood of the world, what we now know as mana. Many of the first people gained the gift of sight, and were able to wield the power of the gods, at least in a sense. This was the birth of magic to the mortals, and to this day, for the most part, we use this power for the betterment of our people. Not only that, but as a result of the cataclysmic event, many new creatures were born, some bound to Bahana, and some to the Demriag, his scar leaving a stain on us forever. After the war in heaven, many gods left Arcadon, shamed by their actions and the ultimate destruction of Abahu. Some remained for a time, passing on their knowledge to their loyal followers, but before long, we were left to our own devices. Now we live as one, in a bid to create the world that was promised to us by Bahana. All hail the goddess of creation. All hail Bahana, for through her teaching we will find unity. as spoken by the High Priest of the Ashai, Iamanor Salazar. Well then, adventurers, shall we get started?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
It's dawn. Samsun is rising to take his place in the sky, the last remnants of night fleeing before his radiance as Nagal returns to his home in the murky depths of the ocean. The air is thick with heat and a sense of anticipation. Outside the holding cell, you hear the hubbub of a gathering crowd. The cell floor is made of sand and the walls are red stone. A single torch lights the room. You can see there are about 30 or 40 men, women and children, most of which are Monkau. However, you spy some of the other races as well. No one is speaking. Your hands and feet are manacled together, and you see that a number of you are wearing some sort of choker, almost necklace that goes around here, with a small gem in the center, just above your Adam's apple. Your hands and feet, I've already said that, you are unarmed. You all have your own story about how you've arrived here, but at this point it seems unimportant. You're about to be sold. Suddenly the cell door swings open. Two large men brandishing clubs enter the room. They wear dark leathers and grim expressions. One of them points at you with his club. Out! He orders you. The line begins to move. You are paraded out into an ancient amphitheatre, one of the few remaining remnants from the sacking of Sitar during the War in Heaven. Large frescoes cover the walls depicting gladiatorial battles, theatrical performances, and religious ceremonies from a time gone by. Vines creep up the columns, and a light wind billows the dark purple shade covers protecting the large crowd that has gathered here this morning. People from all walks of life have come here to purchase you today. Obviously, slavery is against the teachings of Bahana and is illegal across all of Arcadon, but this is Sitar, and the stain of the Demriag runs deep here. The crowd is separated by a large row of stairs that runs down the center of the amphitheatre. There are 3 exits, 2 at the bottom left and right hand sides of the main entrance, and then the main entrance is at the top. So it kind of comes down the stairs and then you've got the crowds kind of spread amongst there. These exits are all manned by guards of a similar ilk to those who are leading you out of the cell. And you also see there are more guards stationed around the circumference. So you're being led out onto the stage area here. Standing in the middle of the stage is a raised platform, and you see a tall, heavy-set man adorned in a dark blue robe. He's wearing a white turban with a red gem in its center. He has tanned skin and a long black beard that has been braided so it splits down the middle. His hands are covered in gold rings. He leers at you as you enter, and it is clear that he is the auctioneer. He turns to the crowd and raises his hands, inviting them to be silent. Greetings and welcome, my most esteemed lords and ladies, to this, our humble roadshow. As ever, we are at your service and will endeavour to fulfill your every want, need, and desire. As he says this, you see young girls dressed in see-through white tunics begin to circulate through the audience, offering cups of wines to the patrons. You see one of them is clearly crying, and you realize that she and all of these girls are probably for sale as well. We have scoured the farthest reaches of Arcadon to bring you these fine specimens today, as you deserve only the very best. We have items for every need, whether that be fighting, dyeing, cleaning, or fornicating. You can see it here before you, and for a modest fee, it can all be yours. For our first item, let us start with the children. Yes, the children, a very good place to start. One of the guard comes over and grabs a small child, dragging her towards the platform. She's about 6 and is wearing rags. Her face is covered in dirt and she has scruffy black hair. She looks like she may be from Ashai because of her slender build. You can see like pointy ears coming out through there, but she says nothing. Her stare is long and vacant. Where shall we start the bidding? The auction commences. Now, the four of you, by the will of the fates, have ended up standing next to each other. You may now take turns to describe yourselves to one another. Why don't we start with you, Jericho?
Know my name already?
Yes.
Scary.
Everyone has. If you haven't gone back and watched the introduction of the characters, guys, please do, because it will explain a bit more about them. So rather than just calling you Beard, I thought we'd get into character. No, you've blunted that already. Minus 10 experience.
So what you see is he's a Monkau. He is around 6'2", 6'4"-ish. He's quite tall. He's pretty broad, so you can see he's got some strength to him. He's quite old, so he's probably in his sort of late 50s, early 60s, and he's seen better days at this point. He's got very little hair left. It's sort of like little long straggly bits. Sort of dotted around his head. He's got a big white bushy beard. He's got an eye patch. I presume we're sort of wearing kind of raggedy clothes at this point, right? All of us.
Yeah. So you would be in traveling clothes. So if you're wearing armor or anything like that, no, you don't have. You have no armor. You have no weapons. Your hands are manacled, and so are your feet. You're not joined together though.
Okay.
So you can move individually if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, he looks like he's maybe seen better days, but he looks like he can probably take care of himself. He looks quite strong. He probably isn't going to be bought first at this auction. Put it that way. Yes, that's him.
Okay.
Good. Pollux.
Yes. So he is also a Monkau. He was, if we're saying that the average height of a Monkau is roughly 6 or so feet, roughly.
Yeah. Just like today.
Yeah. So I would say, generally speaking, he's a bit less than average. I'm imagining roughly 5.5 feet.
Sure.
So he's not particularly. He doesn't look like much. He's not particularly tall. He's fairly thin, but not like muscly thin or anything like that. He's fairly slight. His skin is relatively pale as well, and he has a fairly kind of light blondish kind of hair. That kind of looks fairly unkempt and straggly, that kind of thing. He also doesn't look like he'll fetch much of a price in this auction either.
Excellent. Well, the slavers have done well.
Yeah. Yes. I'm also now I'm presuming that he is one of the ones with the collar.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. So yeah, and he's unshaven. He looks, I would say, roughly in his early 20s. So he's not very old. He's not very grizzled. So he looks fairly fair. And he's spent most of his time just kind of looking down. Like he's been kind of checking the place out, but he's been mostly just kind of trying to keep to himself, looking down. But if you have a look at him, you probably notice every now and again you can kind of see him muttering to himself a little bit, not demonstratively, but just kind of almost like he's having a conversation with himself.
Okay.
And he's keeping fairly quiet. He's got slightly light kind of hazel blue kind of eyes as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Longclaw.
Okay, so you see someone that's about 6'2", so relatively tall. He is lean, but very, very well muscled for his frame. He's you can see that because actually he has no top on, and he's got tanned leather trousers and the sort of ragtag bits of what may have once been a tunic, but they're sort of around him almost in the skirt now, like they've been torn off. His body is very, very tightly muscled, in a bit like a dancer, you know, not that sort of stacked version of yourself. He's not necessarily the broadest, but he's very lean and mean. He's got a darker tanned skin, and across his body you can see that there are various scars and old wounds, and it's a particularly nasty scar that runs across the top of his forehead and along his cheek. Although thankfully for him, he didn't manage to lose the eye, although you can imagine it would have been very, very close. He's got an undercut and what would possibly be a mohawk, But instead now he's got this long black dark hair which is just flowing over this shaved part around his head. He's got very sharp eyes. He's looking around, and you can see that not only does he continually dart back to this auctioneer looking at him with disgust, you can see that there's some compassion in his eyes for the girl. He keeps looking at the girl, and then beyond that he looks to the exits, and he continues to stalk his vision around the amphitheatre, clearly looking for some opening.
Rin.
So in contrast to the three of you, you see an Ashai. So he's about 6'5", 6'6", which, I mean, are we sort of stood in the same sort of rows we are now? So every now and then...
I'm obviously not there.
Yeah, because that would be weird.
Oh, okay.
So every now and then you sort of flick your eyes as around, you kind of... Because you're quite tall for a human.
Yeah.
So even sort of seeing one of the Ashai, you're still a bit like, you are quite a tall boy. Very, very wiry, not as sort of tightly muscled, like relatively average build, but a standard sort of elven build, so quite slim, quite slender. You can tell that there's a lot of pent up energy there, constantly sort of fiddling, fidgeting, not as obvious as perhaps you're looking around, but still scanning, muttering to myself as well. My hair's really long, but it's all tied up, quite elaborate braids. From a distance it would look just like knotted and dreaded. It's actually covered in braids and quite intricate sort of stylings. He is covered in tattoos. Tribal bandings, animals, runic sort of symbols, vines, plants, crisscrossing, all over the arms, up the neck, along the face. Eyes are really, really, really bright blue, like almost like that sort of crystal ice that you see. And being an Ashai, his features are quite sharp and pointed. He only has one pointed ear. The other one is on his left, is all scarred and as if it's been sliced away. So it's not quite like a massive scar tissue, but clearly there's a pretty big injury there. And there's other bits of scars across his body, bite marks, carvings, all sorts of stuff. Been through the walls, you can tell. But yeah, otherwise he's just almost like this, constantly fidgeting, reaching for stuff, moving, trying to sort of move this collar, but then almost not, reaching for stuff that almost around his wrists and his neck that aren't there. And he looks quite agitated, just in general.
Sure. So then you hear from the auctioneer, "Sold to the lovely gentleman up the back." And you see what the guard grabs that young girl, kind of like by the scruff of the neck, and kind of lifts her down. Again, she kind of does nothing, and he leads her up into the crowd. One thing you do notice is as he gets there, he removes a key from his belt and unlocks her manacles, hands her over to this person, puts the key back on his belt, they leave. The girl and this gentleman who's just purchased her. "Where shall we go next?" "Ah yes, this little fat cherub here." And another really rotund fat child is put up onto the stage with him. He's sobbing uncontrollably, his blonde hair. He's probably about 7 years old again, and it's almost like, so you guys they seem to be starting at the right hand where all the younger people are, and the further we get down, we get to the older, fatter ones. So you're closer to the end. So, you now, if you would like, you can try to talk to each other if you wish. I would suggest maybe doing it in hushed voices though. You are being watched by the guards.
Quick question.
Sure.
In terms of the manacles on our wrists,
Yes.
how tight are they? Like, how much give do I have?
You're
About like that?
About like this, yeah.
About like that.
So you could kind of go a bit like there, but it's designed to incapacitate you. So it's
Yeah.
not like you're like this.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Okay.
And our feet are bound, our ankles are bound as
Yes, so you've got a bit more give in your feet, because you were able to walk out here. You wouldn't be able to probably run very fast in these sorts of manacles,
But we can walk.
but you can walk.
Okay.
You could shuffle, but like you kind of, when you take it, every time you take it, like you can feel the give on both. So yeah, they've designed it so they'll be able to essentially move you into the crowd once you've been purchased.
Okay.
I would like to take a step forward.
Okay.
Oh.
Does anyone react? Any of the guards? Does anyone
Is
notice
it
this?
how big is your step forward?
Well, I mean, as much as I can go with the manacles.
I mean, you take a step. One of the guy kind of he just looks at you and goes,
I take another step.
It's at that point where I start to look up a little bit.
Yeah, as I'm right next to you, I am staring at you.
goes, don't do it.
Why not?
I'll have to break that pretty face. Well, what's left of it.
There's not much of it. I take a step back.
Good boy.
I begin to mutter something, and then I... Soon, my friend.
Yeah, that he sees, because when you do that, you start to feel like a burning sensation just comes all around your neck, and it's quite hot. It's almost like if you were to touch a fire or something like that. And you just go, the guy just goes, pretty necklace you got there.
I, having noticed that, I just kind of see me just do one of these. I don't say anything, but I'm just kind of, checking it and going, it's the same thing.
Yeah, sure.
I move back to the wall. I don't look at anyone sort of either side. I just sort of say, I will break that man.
Do you have a plan there, big man?
No plan. Simply seeing how far we can get away and what we can get away with. It is unwise to cage a wolf. But a wolf with no pack is a wolf alone, and that is dangerous.
As you do that, I try to see if there's any give on these manacles. Nothing at all.
No.
Okay.
In that case, your conversation, or as it kind of dies down, you actually hear the sound of retching. And to your right, you see a young man. He'd probably be about 6 foot. He has long, black, scruffy hair and grey eyes. He's lean looking, but strong. He wears a black trench coat with the collar turned up. He has a black bandana around his neck, which now has sick all over it. He wears a pointed black hat, almost like it looks a bit like a pirate hat in a way. He has black gloves, trousers, and boots. He appears to have emptied his stomach all over the feet of a behemoth of a man that he's standing next to. The man whose feet are now standing in a puddle of vomit is over 7 foot tall. He has dark black skin. His body is rippling with muscle, and although he's clearly a warrior of some sort, his skin is completely unblemished. You see not one single scar or anything like that. He wears an animal skin loincloth and nothing else. He looks down on the man who vomited on him and grimaces. The man who vomited looks up. Well, Skyver, this is another fine mess you've gotten me into. The warrior, the large one, takes a step towards him. He goes, now, that was an unfortunate, involuntary bodily reaction due to a night of hard drinking and regret. But I'm sure once this all blows over, we could sort this out like gentlemen, perhaps over an ale. I know a good place. One of the guards, hearing this, turns around and points his club at him. No talking. The gentleman in the black trench coat, no talking. I'm not sure if you've met my new friend here, but if you think you're going to be able to subdue him with that stick of yours, I'm afraid you will meet the gods sooner than you would like. The guard kind of looks at him slightly confused. I was talking to you. I thought there was no talking. The man in the black trench coat smiles at the guard. The guard starts to walk towards him, Now, my friend, I'd very much doubt your master would appreciate you damaging the merchant. He gets a club straight in the stomach, drops to his knees, and now he has fallen in the puddle of vomit, essentially. The large warrior looks down at him and smiles, takes his step back away from him, and just stares, continuing out into the audience. To the left of the line, you see another man. He has an anxious expression. He's about 5'7", has blonde hair, blue eyes, and looks about 18 years old. He's young. He's wearing brown traveling clothes and has an athletic build. He turns to all of you in a hushed voice and says, "When the time comes, follow me."
Why should we follow you?
My name is Quinn, and I'm going to get you out of here.
Why?
I don't know. You seem to have the mark of destiny in all of you. And as he said, a wolf on its own without a pack is only a lone wolf. Together, we can break out of this place.
How exactly do you expect to do that?
When the time comes, you'll see. He kind of looks up at the sun. Shouldn't be too long now. Next to him, another man kind of slinks forward. He seems to have been listening intently to all of your conversations. He hasn't said anything. Again, he's about 5'10". He has long black hair. His skin is tanned from a lifetime in the desert. He wears a dark blue cloak that covers his whole body. Like for a reference, it's kind of like a Bedouin. The cloak has gold trim, and the way that he stands, you know that he has an air of nobility about him, just by the way he carries himself. If you are planning some sort of escape, I can help. I can fight. Quinn kind of nods at that. And at that exact moment, you suddenly hear a booming voice coming from the top of the amphitheater. "Stop! In the name of the Council of Abahu!" Streaming down the stairs, you see the Ashai Guard have arrived. Resplendent in their silver armor and blue hoods, they carry long spears and shields. The shields have the insignia of Abahu carved into them. They move with a graceful ferocity and deadly accuracy as they begin to detain the crowd and guards alike. Pandemonium erupts through the amphitheater as the guards rush to intervene and the crowd disperses, desperately trying to escape the justice of the gods. Quinn looks at you and says, "Now is the time to win our freedom, brothers." He starts running forward as fast as he can in his manacles. One of the guards kind of has his back to him. He turns. As he does so, he throws himself into the air, collides into the guard with all of his force, knocking a club from his hand. They both crash to the ground, and that is where we're going to get you all to roll your initiative. Jericho, if you'd like to start with rolling for the initiative.
You get the first dice roll!
The first combat of the series. Let's make it a good one.
Okay, here we go. It's an 8.
It's a 9.
It's a 9. One better than I was anticipating.
Excellent
Yeah.
start, everyone.
Okay.
If you'd like to go next, Pollux.
I roll a... what is that? It's a 4.
Yes.
And just a 4. isn't
Just a
it?
4.
Yeah.
Remember to add your dex.
Dex, yeah.
Modifiers to this, guys.
Okay.
Well, everyone.
12 plus 3 is 15.
Not bad. Swift. This guy.
Yes. Swift claw.
16 plus 3.
Oh.
Okay. All right, here it is. Okay.
The old man, the short man, struggling over here. Well, as you'd expect.
Well, that makes sense. So, the initiative will go as follows. Rin, Longcore, Jericho, Pollux, then the guards. So, for my first roll of the season, I rolled a 2.
Hey!
Bodes well.
it's
Long
gonna
may
be-
it continue.
So, just to give you guys a bit more of an idea, the other guys who you were talking to or you've seen, they've kind of broken off into different combats.
Right.
Quinn, he crashed into the garden. They've kind of landed over in this area here on the battle grid, and the club has landed there, right next to them. We're gonna just, and this will be kind of a rule that I keep as a dungeon master generally, unless I think it's pertinent to the story, we're not gonna roll to see what the NPCs are doing. I will just inform you what's happened.
Right.
Basically, because that'll just involve me just rolling dice behind the screen, which can be fun, and at certain times we will do that, but for the majority, I just want you guys to be involved in the action, yeah? Okay. Cool, so, Rin, it is your turn. Okay. So what I will do is, I'm just going to put this one, because this looks slightly different to everything. There is a club there, and there is some sort of brawl happening there, and all around you are different fights and things going on.
And I presume that the one directly in front of me is the one.
The one that you had that friendly conversation with.
Kill him!
Having seen the club go sprawling, I will make a direct beeline for it.
Sure.
So, okay. So we're going one diagonal, two diagonals, that's 15 feet of movement.
Yep.
20, 30. Now, because I am a wood elf, I have an extra 5 feet of movement, and because I have the roving ability from my Deft Explorer, I have another 5 feet of movement.
Oh, well.
Which gives me enough to get to here.
How convenient.
I'm gonna grab that club.
Okay, the club is grabbed.
That's kind of my turn.
That's it.
I go to like make this dash for it, and I realise we're still manacled.
Yeah.
So I maintaining focus with the one that I was having that lovely conversation with, as you so nicely put it. I go down to the club with a surprising amount of speed, despite my shackles. I go down, pick it up, and I essentially just point it at him. And just start smiling.
Oh, he's calling the shots, ladies and gentlemen.
He kind of smiles back, and he just unclips his club from his belt and just goes cook, cook, and he starts to move towards you in his turn, obviously. Longclaw, what do you do?
Okay, so the keys.
You did see some of these guards were unlocking certain manacles during the auction.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Of those two guards, do I see keys on either of their belts?
Well, it's funny you should mention that.
Isn't that funny?
Oh,
Isn't that funny?
You do see a pair of keys on this fellow here.
Ah, okay. So,
Really?
Longclaw is not surprised by everything, but he's taking it all in. He sees you bound across as quickly as you can, considering that your ankles are shackled, right? Longclaw starts to move forward. Now, am I restricted in my movement at all with these?
You couldn't.
strengths?
I won't allow you to dash or anything like
Right.
that at this time.
So I
but
can
you
go 30 feet
Yes.
now? Okay.
Yes. Like I said, you can kind of like, get like a little bit of a jig along.
Okay. So, right. Based on this, Longclaw actually starts to shuffle forwards, and then when he gets about halfway, he then starts to bound by jumping, and he gets into a point just before the guard who has the keys. He gets into a point where he's leapt into the air and his knees are up to his chest, and he then just double kicks him right in the chest to try and knock him down.
Okay.
So I'm going to attack the guy with the keys. So that's the one with the black hair over here.
Sure.
So
Now, you are bound,
Yes.
so you can make this attack, but it will be at disadvantage.
Yeah. So 2d20 picking the lowest.
That's it.
That's okay when you roll a double 20.
Ah!
Right. Well, it is actually a 13 and a 4.
Okay.
I'm assuming that the 4, even though it's +5, is bad. That's
It's
bad
not-
news for me.
It's not great.
It sounds like it could be a problem.
As far as things that have gone in your life to now,
Yes,
this is
yeah.
probably one of the moments where you are going, okay, yeah, not great.
Yeah.
So essentially, you do kick him, but he kind of stands back, but it's more like you just couldn't quite get the momentum up to do
Yeah.
the knockdown blow.
Yeah.
So he stumbles back, but he's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Next would be Jericho.
Oh, okay. So, so seeing the surprisingly nimble chap bound his way over to the guards, I imagine that he will also have his eyes on the keys. So he is going to move forwards. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Whoops.
I've spent a lot of time on those models. Don't be chipping them now.
Sorry, Rob. As he approaches him, obviously he notices that the club's been picked up and kind of looks a little jealous that you have managed to get the club before he can. However, he is going to, with his manacled fist, kind of make a hammer fist and boosh! Smash the guy with the dark hair in the side of the head.
Okay,
Okay,
very good.
This will be a disadvantage.
Yes, it will.
Or will it?
We'll see.
Yes, it will. So that is a 6 and a 16.
Okay, what is your...
It is +3.
Okay,
that
so
will be,
it's a, you do, again, you knock him,
Yeah.
it's not enough to do any sort
Oh, sorry,
of
it's
damage.
+5.
Plus
actually.
5.
Yeah, so it'd be 11.
Still the same. Damn it. Close, you almost hurt him, but you don't.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I imagine I sort of like get nice and close, sort of ball my fist up and but yeah.
So essentially this guard's just being assailed, but and all these kind of like, and he's just kind of batting you off at the moment.
There's a lot going on.
He's starting to raise his club though to administer some justice on
Right.
the pair of you.
Okay.
Right, next.
Right. So, obviously, I'm going to try and cast something.
Oh.
Yes. Since I've kind of detected that the collar is kind of restricting me from doing like incanting or what, if that's a real
That
word.
is,
You know,
that is a fair assumption.
yeah. Do I need to make any kind of check in order to see if I can become that, or do I just attempt to do something?
Why don't you make a wisdom check for me?
Okay.
To see if you can push through this barrier that is preventing you from doing any sort of casting.
All right. So that's a 12, and I believe I have +2 on my wisdom.
Okay, cool. So that would be 14
14.
total. So you feel the energy start to kind of power up around you, and you feel the restriction. However, just at the last moment, it's almost like in your sight with the mana, you see a slight gap in the spell,
Yeah.
and you can actually push through, and you will be able to cast something.
Cool. So as that's happening, I can feel it heat up and the energy kind of almost feeling like it's burning my neck.
Yeah.
As that's happening, as I'm pushing through, anyone who can see, well, no one will probably see, but I'll just describe it anyway. My eyes start to darken.
Okay.
So now I'm going to describe something, and now I'm going to see if you will let me do this, because I think this could be pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to
Playing a dangerous game there.
I know, yeah. But
Yes.
this could be really fun. You know, aim high, I say. I'm going to cast Blade Ward, which doesn't require me to roll. It just goes off automatically, and it's
Right.
a cantrip, so it's not one of my prepared spells.
Okay.
And I'll tell you effects in a minute, but what I'll describe happens is, so I'm able to just move my hands kind of like this. So he's able, like, you see him kind of do that, and then go like this. I chant something to myself in a rather deep voice, but no one's within earshot, so they can't really see. Then what happens, all of a sudden, it's like this big pulse kind of like goes all around the body, and as that happens, it's like for a brief second, it's like I turn to smoke, which for a very brief second,
Right.
like this kind of dark smoke.
Okay.
And as that smoking, as I become smoke, everything just kind of like all the chains and stuff just fall off. Just fall through the cloud of smoke. I become very briefly.
Is that okay? So what is the actual? What is the end of this spell?
So, okay.
is it some sort of disappearance spell?
No,
that you have
it's
to
like
move through? So it's
I just
nothing to
imagine
do
that
with
would be really cool, but essentially, I mean, it would, wouldn't it?
It'd be very cool.
Yeah.
However-
Essentially, Blade Ward gives me resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing attacks.
Right.
So I'll cast that anyway.
Yes.
But it's, if you don't think that shackles actually fall off as I described that, that's
It's a
fine.
great description.
It's a
It
very
is a
good
very good description.
It's a very good description. However, it has nothing to do with this at all. It's just
That was just wouldn't that be
You may as
cool?
well
if-
just go, yeah, I class Blade, and now I'm invisible.
Yeah, I know.
Unfortunately, that doesn't happen, but
Fact.
the spell does go off, and
Right.
you are now more resistant to attacks, including, what was it, bludgeoning?
Piercing and slashing.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Which is probably going to be important here.
Okay, yeah. So, and I've noticed that I'm still shackled and all that kind of thing. So, as I've noticed that they haven't fallen off, I look towards the guy with the keys who is currently in combat, and I start to kind of plan my next move.
Okay, very good. So that now comes around to the guards. So, both of these guards now... So you two kind of went into combat with the guy here with the keys, is that right?
Yeah.
So really you're here. The only reason I'm saying that is because this guard has some unfinished business with a certain someone. So he'll go 50. Oh, he can't quite get to you though, unfortunately. Where's that? 1, 2, 3. Oh yes, he can. Very good. So he runs around. He runs around the corner of you guys. So you guys are both kind of tangling with this other guard. So you've kind of turned and you're pointing at him, and this guy breaks into like this slow, steady run towards you, Rin. He lifts his club. What's that?
As he moves around me, am I allowed to intercept?
Well, I mean, you are kind of busy with someone else at
I'm not
the
that
moment.
busy. I'm pretty free right now.
I've got nothing on.
Yes, an attack of opportunity.
If you let him get away with that, I'll be very upset.
He's not. That's pretending to disappear through.
Yeah, through walls and.
Rob.
Yes, you may, but it will be at disadvantage.
Will it indeed?
Yes.
Well, he's the one at a disadvantage because he didn't see my elbow to the face coming. As he goes around me, I spin and pirouette in the air, and this elbow cracks into the top of his nose bridge.
Ouch.
And crushes the bone into the brain. Right, we roll an 8 and a 6, so it would be an 11 in total.
Alas, as he runs around you, you do just miss his face, mainly due to his income. He's quite slow and he kind of plods along like this. And actually, where you would have thought like a normal Moncau to move, he just didn't. And so you're gonna go, oh, that's okay. So you just miss him as he goes past.
Okay.
So now he comes around. So you're there holding your club.
Yep.
He just comes out and goes, oh, I've been looking forward to this. Crack! He swings out at you and smacks you across the jaw.
Or does he?
Well, let's see. He does indeed hit you. Well, what's your armor class?
We're unarmored, so it's 13.
13. Yeah, that's a definite strike. So you kind of tried to lift up to block this club thing, but you're bound, so there's not much you can do. So he does a total of 3 points of bludgeoning damage to your face. You crack. It hurts. It hurts big time. Very good. The next guard now, seeing that you've spun out at his friend, as you kind of land and you have this moment of, I don't normally miss. In that brief moment, a club hits you in the back of the head.
Oh.
It does indeed hit you. Well, actually, oh no, because you're a bit different, aren't you?
I am a little bit different.
Right. What is your armor?
My AC, I believe, is 15.
Now,
because I get my wisdom and my dexterity bonus.
I see. Well, unfortunately, with that hit that I have just done, it is a hit.
Right.
So you do have a moment. So he does a total of 2 bludgeoning damage to the back
So
of
he
your
cracks
skull.
me across the back of the head as I land.
Yes,
Ooh, I see.
exactly. Very good. Right, so now that will actually come back to you now, Rin. So you've just copped a club in the face.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So I imagine he's hit me like almost cracked to the side of the temple. You're going for that blow to just make me go to the floor.
Yeah.
As he sort of hit me, the blood sort of like just trickles down my face. I sort of spin the club in my hand and drive it into his gut, like to just wind him, and then bring it up to sort of crack him as he goes down. So I'm not making like 2 attacks. Just
Sure, it's
almost
just
like a
quick
quick bang.
Yeah, cool, great.
Disadvantage, I presume.
Yes, unfortunately for you.
Not necessarily. Oh yes, necessarily. That is a 11. It was a 9 on my lowest.
11 because my strength isn't great, and unfortunately a club is a normal weapon.
Yes.
So I presume no.
Unfortunately not.
It's tough like these manacles, isn't it?
Yes. Well,
Wow.
I mean, maybe you should think about removing them. Just an idea. Anyway, we'll come on to the next, and that's you, Longclaw.
Yeah.
It's time for you to be somebody.
So as I landed and I received the club to the back of the head, I turn, I growl at him, and then what I actually do is a shoulder tackle.
Okay.
What I want to do is grapple him, but I want to go for the keys.
Sure,
Not
okay.
trying to to break anything on him. I'm literally going for those keys. So I turn, do the shoulder tackle, hopefully knock him to the ground, and snatch the keys off the belt.
Okay, so I'd like you to make a strength check there, please.
Okay. Well, I rolled a 19 with base.
It's fine. So you do tackle him.
Yes, I do.
And you spend the rest of the turn wrestling with him, but you do manage to get the keys off. You are now standing above him. He is prone on the ground.
So that's a shame for him.
It is, isn't it? So we will knock him down there. But you do have the keys, but that is your full action.
Understood.
Coming now over to Jericho. So you've just seen this happen.
I sort of regard your handiwork, give you a curt nod, and aggressively suggest you should unshackle.
So I will allow you to pass the keys to him if you wish, but you've just kind of stood up with them,
right?
So you would be handing them off.
Yeah, without
yourself.
Yeah, my character doesn't regard you, and you can see is actually turns the key quite deftly in his hand to start putting it into the own lock.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
So what would you like to do?
All right. In that case, I will. So this guy's prone, right?
Yes. So
okay.
Now, if you attack him, it would just be normal.
Okay. I will attack him. I will boot him. No, I won't boot him in the head because
now, he is also armed with a club as well. So he's now.
Oh, he's on the ground. I'm going to. So is he still holding the club?
He's kind of sprawled back on his back at the moment, so it's loose. If you were going to go for
okay, I'm going to try and grab the club out of his hands.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. So this would be the same sort of thing. We'll do a strength check.
Okay.
If you're prone, let's just roll.
It's a 19.
Okay. What you manage as he falls back, you pluck the club out of his hands as well. So you are now armed, but that is your turn.
Excellent.
Very good. Now we come over to Pollux.
Right. So I can see now that you had the possession of the keys. You've just unlocked yourself. So I'm basically make a beeline your way. So can I get there? Can I get there? Oh yeah. So I arrive behind you. And I call out to you, and again, just like Beard, I just go, please.
Please.
Yeah.
And you're like, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Do you?
Is
that what you say to Longclaw?
Yeah, I basically go like this. I go, please! I'm no threat to anyone.
Okay. So Longclaw continues to unlock the shackles on his hand. Obviously, I'm assuming that this is all happening in real time, so I'll have to finish the description when it gets to my turn.
Sure. Cool. Do you work? So you can still do an action now if you would like, because all you've really done is move and spoken. So you can do one more. You can do an action if you would like to.
You know what? I'll take a ready action.
Okay. Cool. Takes ready action. Very good. Comes back round to the guard. So this guard now on the ground. He's lost his keys. He's lost his weapon as well. So what he'll do, he stands up, and as he does, he goes to uppercut you to try and hit you in the face to try and get his club back.
Please.
Your armor class as a normal
is 10.
Is only 10.
It's only 10.
So as he stands, he does actually manage to crack you in the jaw. You take 1 damage. Because it's an unarmed combat, but he essentially a tip of your tongue maybe gets bitten off and there's a bit of blood in your mouth. But he's now standing there with his fists just ready to kind of Barney. The second guard back into the Mortal Kombat over here. So you've kind of gone, and he kind of just goes like this. He goes, I'm going to rearrange that other ear for you now. And he just goes, bang, and goes to strike at your other ear, and he misses wildly. Yeah, just take that sort of like step back. Yeah, and he kind of great. So now it comes back to you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go like in as I sort of taken that step back. I bring it up in a almost upward fashion, going for this sort of part of the jaw.
Sure.
Try and break it. No, on a 8. On a 5 plus 3.
Alright.
5 plus 2 even, so a 7. It's even worse.
Okay, unfortunately not. Neither of these guards have been injured at this stage.
For now.
For now. Okay, very good. So that will now come to you, Longclaw. So
Okay.
you may now free yourself if you wish.
Right, so what Longclaw does is he's reversed the keys, put it in the lock, he turns it. As he turns it, you hear the chink, and he then drops to the ground in a cross-legged position, sitting, and then immediately, so he's doing it to be as efficient as possible, puts the key in the padlock on the shackles that are around my ankle, unlocks that. He then flips up and the shackles fall down to the ground as he suddenly finds his feet.
Cool.
He then turns to you, chucks you the key, but it's literally we're this distance, so it's just.
Yeah, you can just do that.
Yeah. Now I don't know. Has that taken all of my action?
Well,
Unlocking.
yeah.
Both
I
the
mean,
keys,
really, because
padlocks?
you kind of unlock it with both padlocks, then getting to your feet as well as throwing the key. That
Yeah.
would be your full action.
In which case he chucks you the key and then prepares to strike the one who's just getting back up.
Yeah, he's now back up on his feet here too. Okay, very good. So then we would come over to you, Jericho.
Yes. I do exactly the same thing, less flamboyant. he sort of goes to do, he does the ones on his wrist, then it goes down and does the ones around his feet.
Holding his back at the same time.
And just sort of like shakes them off and just sort of throws them to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool, thanks.
Yes.
Behind him.
And that comes around to your turn now.
Yeah, exactly.
Very
So
good.
I take my action to do the same thing. He's not quite as athletic or efficient, but he's a little bit quicker than you. So yeah, he grabs the keys, and I basically take my action to. What I do first, before I go to my feet, as soon as I've taken the shackles off my wrists, I do that to see if there's like anything locking or tying this choker around my neck to see if I can undo that.
That's a great question.
Yeah, you do feel that there is some sort of lock on the back of it, yes.
Right. So can I take my action to as well as the shackles?
You may. But
Okay.
so when you go to touch it, again, you feel that heat come through, so I'd like you to make another wisdom check, please.
Sure.
Dangerous, this thing.
Yep.
Be careful.
Sorry. Let the people see.
Yes. That's a 17.
Okay, so
yeah.
again, the fiery feeling seems to go around your neck, but because of your will with the power of your mana, you are able to disenchant it and it is removed.
Cool.
So your action is spent removing all of your stuff.
Awesome.
You are now
Yeah.
free.
Cool. So and then I basically take up a stance, and you can see him open his hands as if he's trying prepare to make some kind of gesture. And anyone that can sees that the palms of his hands are actually covered in little scars, some more fresh than the others. And yeah, but that's what I do.
Okay, very good. So we'll now come back to the guards. So, the guard who is now facing the two of you suddenly starts to realize he might be in a bit of trouble.
Yes.
He swings wildly at you again to try and bludgeon you so he can potentially get that club back. And unfortunately for him, this time he kind of punches you in the face, and you kind of, it's kind of like you just kind of look back at him or something like that, and you see he realizes he's in a lot of trouble. Over here, the battle between the club-wielding fellows continues. So again, he's kind of slashed out at you. He missed. You've slashed out at him. He kind of takes a step in, and he actually goes to knee you and then come down on top of you with the base of his club, like in the back of the head. Armor class, sorry?
13.
That would be a hit.
Sure.
So the it's one attack, but that's the
Yep,
description. So you kind of and then down over the back of your head, and you take that would be 3 bludgeoning damage again. So you crack on the back of your skull.
Ouchie.
Oh, and you hear him laughing. Pretty one, aren't you? It is now your turn.
Alright, so I begin to feel like the blood sort of like pooling in my mouth, like
Yeah.
sort of I had a crack there, now I'm sort of there, a little bit dazed. I can feel the, like, despite my better judgment, I would attempt to cast Hunter's Mark on him.
Okay.
So I imagine I'll need to take a will check for
Yes,
the
you
collar.
Or wisdom, rather. Oh dear.
That will be a 7.
7. So as you go to cast, you feel this thing of it flashes, and you feel a searing, burning pain go through your neck, and you take 1 fire damage.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that is a bonus action.
Yeah.
So then with my, I feel that burn.
And like what, it almost like you can smell your flesh
Yeah.
as it's singed around your neck. It's very painful.
Ouch. Yeah. Yeah. So I sort of at that, like almost like the sizzle, like is audible. I spit out a glob of blood onto the guard's head, and I come up onto, I sort of, as I come up, I spit into a glob of blood into his face, and then I just crack it straight down on top of his head.
Excellent.
Oh dear.
Not with a 3 + 2, 5, I do not.
So the blood kind of hits you in the face, and you go to strike out, but because he's quite shocked by that, he kind of stumbles back as he's getting this blood out of his eyes, and you just miss him with the club. Okay, so that will now come around to you, Longclaw.
Okay, so he's just taken a swing at him, punched him, and realised it's not done anything. Takes a step back, then Longclaw just steps towards him, grabs him by the face, cracks him with the headbutts, and then I'll use Flurry of Blows to break his neck.
Okay.
Flurry of...
What is Flurry of Blows?
Well, I get to attack again with an unarmed strike.
That martial arts.
Go on then.
Okay, so the first is a 19 plus 5, that's 24.
Yep.
That headbutt is sweet.
That headbutt hits exactly where you want it to. I reckon it's almost like under the eye socket, and you hear it just kind of.
Right, 1d8 plus my no, where am I? Where's my damage? 1d4 is what it was. Yes, plus 3. Okay,
I was just
There's a flurry of blows.
here we go. Oh, well, I rolled a 1 and plus 3, so 4 points of damage.
Okay, very
And
good.
then the second, he gets stunned. I then put both hands around his jaw and the back of his head, and I snap his neck. However, this time the grip is not good enough because I only rolled a 4.
Okay, unfortunately. So yeah, you go to grab it, and he kind of manages to shake free just before the kind of the final killing blow there. But you are very much in combat.
Tremendous.
Yes, it is your turn. Very good, Jericho.
Okay, so as he takes the punch, it does sort of it moves his head, but he doesn't sort of look back at him or anything in anger. He just sort of regards the club in his hand and says, "Oh, aye," and he sort of rolls it in his hand, and with 2 hands, boom, smashes it so hard into the guard's head, it cracks his neck, and he dies. But I rolled 2.
Oh,
In his mind's eye, that's what happened. But unfortunately, he was a little bit too wild, and it
Yeah.
went over the top of his
swing.
head.
You swing,
My character
swing.
actually has to take a little damage.
Mighty but inaccurate, sadly.
Okay, Pollux, it's over to you.
Okay, so you completely unshackled yet?
Oh yes.
You are unshackled. So everyone except for you is unshackled.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
busy
great.
right now.
Yes. No, that's fine. So notice that everyone's unshackled. I've still got the keys. I'll look over to what's going on over here. So I make my way up behind this dude here. So he's occupied with this chap over here, so he doesn't really see me coming. So what I do, so as he's kind of fighting, you can, as I'm walking towards him, I start to make these kind of gestures with my hands, like this. I start to, again, mumble something to myself in a deeper voice. My eyes begin to darken even more. This chap here is kind of like squaring up against you. He goes to make a swing with his club, but he feels this hand on his shoulder. He turns around, and as soon as he looks over, he just sees this guy grinning at him with these dark eyes, and he hears me go like that. and I cast Shocking Grasp.
Oh,
Okay.
Yep.
So explain to us what Shocking Grasp is.
Okay, so it's again, it's another cantrip, so I haven't had to spend any slots just yet. It's a melee attack.
Okay.
What happens to it is basically like lightning comes from like just springs forth. It's almost like the Emperor, but it's a melee attack, so I've got to be right next to him. I have to be able to touch him.
Okay.
Yeah. So as that happens, you just kind of see him seize up like this and
explodes.
Does he have any metal armor at all?
No, he's wearing leathers.
He's got some keys on them, doesn't he?
He does have some keys.
Okay.
It's not armor though.
It wouldn't be armor, no. So the reason I asked that because
we're already reaching. It's session 1. He's tried to go invisible out of his load.
Like, I mean, if he's wearing a belt, there must be a metal buckle on his
The reason I asked, there's an actual reason behind that, is because if I'm attacking someone with Shocking Grasp that has like plated armor, metal plating armor, I do that at advantage.
Right.
But he doesn't, so I won't. Okay, so it's melee attack, so it should be my normal plus my bonuses, which equal 5. And I hope that helps. So that's a 9 plus 5 makes 14.
Oh yes. So describe what happens.
Okay, so basically as I describe, he goes to make an attack on our chap over here, like this. As that happens, as he kind of gets shocked and stiffens, you notice what happens, and I kind of look to you and I go, I too know about caged animals. So
what's the damage?
It is a D8 damage. So let me just get my D8. That's D8, isn't it? Yes, cool.
Yeah.
Yay.
Okay.
So D8 shocking damage. He takes 6.
Nice.
Oh. So it's almost like he's just cracked you on the back of the head. He's just said you're pretty. He's going for that final thing to just completely end your life, and suddenly all this electricity just shoots through and kind of comes out of his mouth, and then he goes and you do 6 in total. Brutal stuff. He is not killed, but he is singed, and not in a very good way at all. It will now come around to the guard's attacks. The poor guard who's now being outnumbered over here, he's just managed to break free from his neck being snapped. He's just dodged wildly under this. He just looks at both of you. just kind of punches again, realizing that he's not paid enough for this job.
Why isn't he run
He
here?
swings out at Jericho again. He does hit you, so you will take another bit of damage there.
Just 1 point?
Just 1 damage, because he's just punched you in the face. So he does manage to strike you, and he's got a big, heavy punch on him, this guy. But he's also seems to be fighting people which are slightly above his pay grade. We come to the second guard, who's just been electrified. So you kind of release him, I imagine, after, and he kind of turns, and he turns at you, seeing that you are free, and he notices that you're not wearing that collar, and you see fear. He almost, like a ripple of white goes down his skin color as he just realizes what's going on. He swings wildly out at you, so he turns on you. He does hit you. So as you kind of release, it's almost like this club comes through the hand as it's coming off, and it hits you across the wrist, shattering it completely. He does a total of 3 damage. Now you have something called Blade Ward on at the moment,
Which I believe only lasts until my next turn.
So it's not happening right now?
So it's not happening right now.
In that case, you take 3 bludgeoning damage as your casting hand is shattered.
As he does this, I kind of recoil. The eyes begin to deepen anymore. He has been able to draw some blood as well, and with that, I just kind of do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Rin, you have, so the attacker now does not have your attention. If you wanted to strike out and do something cool, it would probably be the time.
Yeah, now would be a good time to actually do something. Having like the sort of the sear begins to fade away, I try it again.
Sure.
Because I'm just getting really, really quite annoyed now. So I'll do my wisdom.
It's a 1.
So again, the searing pain bursts around your neck. It burns in deeper, and you almost feel like it's starting to constrict you a little bit. You take another damage, fire damage.
But I will crack him round the back of the skull.
Come on!
I will.
Come on, I
Vin.
will do it. An 8 is my lowest, but +2 because its strength is 10.
It is not enough.
Oh,
It
Rin.
is not enough. Rin is not having a good day.
Someone get some keys.
someone help that man! Longclaw. What? So he's just punched him again?
Again, yeah.
Yes.
Longclaw looks at him like he's almost offended that he hasn't actually tried to strike him.
Yeah.
He then grabs his head again with both hands this time, whack, and then is an almighty double headbutt, and the second sound is so unpleasant that even you wince. It looks like you've seen a fair few unpleasant things in your time, doesn't it? Right, so I rolled a 10 plus 5, 15 on the first.
That's a hit.
So the damage is just 4 again, just 1 plus 3.
Okay, and the next
then
one?
The second, just a 4, so I missed with the plus 5, 9.
So the sound is indeed sickening, and actually, as you give him that look like you're offended, you see the look in the eyes. He's like, and it almost looks like he goes, "I'm sorry." Let's not. He just goes. But then,
Pint?
obviously, the head comes in, and you completely cave in his nose. He drops to his knees. He is not dead, but he is holding on to life by a whisker. We will now come over to you, Jericho.
Right.
If you'd like to hit someone, that would be nice.
That would be great. Okay, so gone for the big swing last time, and seeing your valiant effort with the flurry of headbutts, and feeling inspired by this martial prowess, he will go for another clubbing blow.
Okay.
He's seen that this guard is struggling, and he's going to put him out of his misery.
Okay, very good.
No more fighting for you, lad.
What is that? It's a 4.
It's a 4.
Right. No,
So
take
you-
my dice back.
I think we all need new
Got
dice.
advantage.
Okay, wait, let's just move swiftly on. Pollux, it is now back to you.
All right, it's up to me to do something, is it? Okay, cool. So as I get whacked in the wrist, I kind of,
Eat your own blood.
Eat my own blood. Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, absolutely. I take a step back and kind of fall to the ground. It almost looks like he's kind of knocked me to the ground. So he's like, ha ha ha, yeah. But I move back to get just basically there, so that I'm no longer in melee range. As I kind of fall to the floor, again, I start kind of moving my hands like this and bring them up to my mouth, and you can hear me kind of go, ice. And I'm casting Chill Touch,
Okay.
which is a ranged attack.
Okay.
And what happens is you can almost see this kind of white wispy cloud come out of my hands, and it kind of, instead of kind of bellowing out like a normal cloud would, it's almost like dry ice, so it kind of falls to the floor and kind of creeps up towards him.
Sure.
And as it reaches his foot, you can kind of see these icy hands kind of climb up his leg, and eventually till one gets to like around about his chest, where it looks like it's got like knives, like the kind of formed blades on the end of the fingers, and it's just gone like that into his
Okay.
chest and
Now,
pierce his heart.
this is a very epic description, and you're doing very well, but
Yeah.
you have disengaged from combat.
Sure.
So I will get a hit of opportunity.
Oh!
Sure. So all of this goes to happen. So you go to your knees, you take a step back, and what actually happens is as you do it, that laugh is coming from a club, which is coming down to crush you. In the back of the head. What is your armor class? at the
10.
moment? That is a hit.
Oh,
So as you take a step back, gunk, on the top of your head. However, this time it only does 2 bludgeoning damage
2.
onto your head.
Oh dear.
So you then now may attempt to do this spell. So you've just been hit.
Yep.
And then he's looking down, and suddenly you could just imagine all these like ice hands playing.
Yeah.
So
He's
he's
freaking
freaking
out.
like to do it.
Yeah, buddy. That's a 13 plus 5 is
Yep.
18.
That is a hit. Describe
Yes.
what happens next, please.
Well, that's So finally this hand reaches in and starts going. Instead of going like that, it's almost like it starts going like that. And he's
That's grim. Okay.
he's taking D8 damage.
D8 damage, okay.
2.
2. Okay, fine. So it does.
Is that enough?
No, it is not, unfortunately. So they do start to pierce into him. Like, you know, the blood starts to soak through his leathers, but he is not dead. It will now come back to him. So he's been pierced with all of this kind of. He's quite. So he kind of almost takes a step back, like realizing that this is kind. The fear that you've put into him with this, so he actually turns on, realizing that he's still got you behind him. He kind of goes to club you, and it almost looks like he's going to make a run for it after this. He's had enough.
Yeah.
So, but before he does, he misses you wildly though. So he goes to swing you, misses you. You kind of dodge out of the way, and he's got a moment where he's quite terrified as to what his life is going to turn out within the next minute or so. With the next guy, so the guy who has now his face has been completely crushed in, he's on his foot, he kind of looks up at you, and he goes to swing. He actually tries to hit you in the groin to incapacitate you so he can escape. He does hit you. He does hit you. So, boom! Right there. Yeah, you take a wound.
Ow.
Bludgeoning. Yeah. Ouch.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. That's it. So it now comes back to you, Rin.
Right. Come on, Rin. Come on. As
We're all in
as
three
he
now,
sort of like
come on.
moved into me, it's like the singeing. He can almost smell the flesh burning, and that smell just gets worse and worse because I just almost gutturally growl at him. I'm gonna try and speak a magic word again.
Oh
Come
dear.
on.
Oh, it's
On
one
again! Again! Oh, what's happening?
Take another point of fire damage as you feel it burning into your skin.
Okay.
Blood and singed ooze is now pouring down your neck.
enchantment.
No,
Yeah, it must be
way.
blistering now.
It's probably not very pleasant.
It's not.
But that smell and that sort of popping of flesh is what puts him off. As I finally hit him with my club, I'm gonna go almost with the club like to the throat, almost like a throat blow.
Sure.
Yes.
Come on. A 7 plus a 2 is a 9.
No.
Oh,
unfortunately, the pain that you're feeling at this point, the dice are not with you.
No,
Okay.
they're
They are
not.
being burnt and sacrificed to the gods this evening.
Longclaw, it is time to avenge that cheap shot.
Right, because he's gone in with the cheap shot after he landed. The reason my second headbutt didn't land is because he dropped a little faster than I thought he would. So he drops and he just punches me in the groin. Longclaw's like grabs the back of his head and 2 fingers suddenly appear here, and he drives them both into his eyeballs.
Okay, good.
Pleasant.
Go for it.
14 plus 5, that's a 19.
Yep. So,
Do I
if
need
you would
to roll
like
the
to,
damage?
if you'd like to describe how you take this person's life from Arcadon.
There's a horrible soft tissue noise. Because you see basically my hand around the back of his head, and then the fingers are covered in something very, very unpleasant. He sort of spasms and then drops to the floor, twitching, and Longclaw is staring at him furiously, but it then calms, and he turns to look over to the Ashai.
Very good. Jericho, you have just witnessed a brutal killing in front of you.
Yeah.
What is it you would like to do now? If you'd like to remove that model.
Yes, I would.
Yes.
Regarding this barbarism, considering he's missed a few times, because he was sort of like getting ready for one final, and he sees like this, he sees you drive your fingers into his eyeballs through and pluck his brain out through his face. Essentially, he sort of sees you go down, sort of looks at you like this, and you look over to him, and he sort of looks over, he's like, oh yes. So, remembering that our colleague over here is still with us,
I'm
Just
going
about.
to pop over this way, next to the other guard, and finally and successfully hit him with my club in the head.
Very good.
Okay, it's time. It's an 8 plus 5 is 13.
That is a hit! Yes!
Okay, so exactly as I
Yay.
said. Inspired by the murder.
So you do D4 damage
I do.
plus your strength.
Plus my strength. Here we go. So that is 6 points of damage.
If you would like to describe how you ended this man's life, you may do so.
Absolutely. So he's looking a bit frosty as well, right? He's got a little bit of the frost on him from your thing.
Yep.
Okay. So goes
Beginning
over.
to disperse, but yes, go on.
Goes over as quickly as he can with his feet shackled together, and as he gets to the apex of the swing, he brutally hits him right in the ear over here. Hope you'll appreciate that. And caves in the side of his head. The remaining frost sort of goes into the air, and he collapses into a heap onto the ground and bleeds his lifeblood out of his ear.
So
Excellent.
from your point of view, as he kind of collapses to the ground, almost in time with that, you see the set of keys that I had just kind of go ching, 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 in front of you,
Just
and
in
then you look
time.
up just to see me having thrown it.
Very, very cool. We'll be right back with the ramifications of this combat in just a sec. So, as the last guard drops to the ground and the keys have landed at your feet, you kind of have a moment to take stock of what's going on around you. You see the man, or young man, who called himself Quinn. He's standing up over the top of the guard that he tackled. It looks like in the scuffle he had managed to take the club from him, and this guard's face has been pulverized into the sand, and he's got like blood. All of his blood seems to be covered all over him. He kind of turns and looks at you. To your right, the other three that you briefly met seem to have also finished the combat that they were included in. They're kind of passing around the keys. The guy who had vomited on himself, you see he took a quite nasty hit to his forehead. He's kind of got a split there, he's bleeding. The giant behemoth of a man, the dark-skinned warrior, you actually see that he had managed to break his manacles.
Wow.
And the other, then you see the other, no, the guy wouldn't be, he seems to be, he's holding a club, so he seemed to have disarmed someone fighting anyone. You're kind of pulled together as you look up into the amphitheater. Most of the guards now are engaged by the Ashai. We actually see one guard is kind of rushing up the stairs to one of the Ashai guard. He gets battered down with his shield, and as he goes down, a spear comes over the top and pierces him just before he hits the ground. Pulls it out, and then he kind of crumbles down the stairs. Everyone's fleeing in different directions. It's absolute chaos. Quinn then looks at all of you. He says, "You must follow me. Our escape is this way." And he points towards the left-hand side, and there is a scuffle that has happened there, but it's actually drawn the guards and the Ashai away from it. And he says, "Quickly, follow." And he goes to leave. What do you do?
Well, first, what happens to me is after I've thrown the keys at your feet, I kind of start to crumple a little bit as well as this is all happening. My eyes, again, they lighten back to that kind of bluish, the bluish color that I mentioned before, and Pollock starts to reach. I start to reach for my arm that got hit, and you can see him start to go and he's like he's kind of gathering himself as if he's trying to figure out what on earth just happened.
I see.
And you look towards the exit that Quinn pointed out, and looks at all you guys as to go, well, are we doing this?
Well, I'm going to unlock myself. And actually do something.
So in while that description was happening, I had assumed that that's
Yes.
what you were doing. Yes, very good. So at this stage, when he says it's time to go, you are completely unlocked.
Okay. So I mean, have I unlocked this thing as well?
Yes, without any more damage.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Oh, good. So I'm sort of like.
Yeah, it's just you've got this red raw
Sure.
ring around your neck, and it's all blistering and bleeding, and you've
Very
got kind of like
pleasant.
blackened skin
Yeah.
on the outside of it as well. Yeah,
So
you've been barbecued.
yeah, I look over at you two. Thank you. As you do, I sort of look towards you and say, "You come here."
Whoa.
I take a tentative step whilst still sort of keeping an eye on what all the chaos that's going on.
Yeah.
Take a tentative step towards you, whilst
Cool. As you approach, it gives you a little, like a grasp you around the neck like this.
that will probably hurt me, I imagine.
Sure. But I'm going to cast Lay on Hands on you.
Very nice.
So with that, so it's 5.
You didn't have a collar.
Huh?
No, he didn't.
Ah, okay.
Should have given me a collar.
I guess they looked at you and thought, nah.
he's nearly dead. Yeah, so I'll give you 3 hit points back. So basically, I have my level times 5, essentially.
Okay. Oh,
I have a pool, so I'm going to give him 3 back.
Okay,
Thank
fine.
you. Cool. So I bet like it sort of almost starts to recede a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the blisters. Like feeling that. It seems I owe both of you a debt. I hold out my hand. Rin.
Jericho.
I kind of look at you for a moment, and with the I'm struggling to, but I do. I hold out my hand and go, but Pollux.
I shake them both, and then I spin on the spot, club in hand, and I just bash the guard's skull in repeatedly.
Whoa.
Sure.
So as this is happening, just as you lot have introduced yourselves, Longclaw steps right next to you, and you can see that he's wiping his fingers on the leather pants that he's wearing. And he sort of regards you all, and he says, "Hakote, we should stick together." And he looks towards this man that said, "Follow us."
Yeah, so he goes to and he's kind of stopped, and he turns around and looks at you all. He says, "We must leave now."
So I'll follow.
Yeah.
Cool. So everyone follows. The other 3 who've witnessed this, they follow as well. So you flee. In the chaos, the bottom exit seems to have been left unattended by the Ashai guard. Quinn leads you through it. You come out into the busy streets of Sitar. The commotion inside the amphitheatre has drawn a large crowd of city folk. The streets are rammed with excited activity as the Ashai guard are bundling captives into carts with closed barred windows. You see a group of rescued children huddled together in front of a female Ashai guard. She's on her knees with her helmet removed, and she's mumbling an incantation with her hands, and a soothing blue light seems to be coming out. So she appears to be trying to calm the children. Now, despite this, the gathered crowd seem to be jeering the Ashai guard, reinforcing the fact that Sitar is a city under martial law, and the Ashai are not welcome here. As you watch, about 6 of the Ashai guard they're kind of rustling people in. One of them notices you. One of them cries out, "You there! Halt!" Quinn looks at you all and says, "This way now." And he beelines it down a side alley.
Right. Longclaw sees the Ashai guards and then sees this guy you're calling Quinn run off. He hesitates, but then decides to follow.
Okay.
We see the guard saying halt, I kind of stop, look at him, and take in the fact that he is a shy guard, and for a brief moment there, I just kind of go, no, later, and continue on following Quinn.
Okay.
Yeah, follows.
Yeah,
Proceed.
Everyone follows as well. Great. So he leads you down an alleyway. You fly through the back streets of Sitar, a shanty town built into the ruins of a once great city. Even in your flight, the stark contrast between the crumbling buildings from the time of the gods and the makeshift houses built into its carcass in the modern day are striking. Quinn leads the way, nimbly dancing through the crowd like some sort of dancer, really. All the while, your assailants are getting closer. Suddenly, you break out from the back streets into a bustling marketplace. Dozens of brightly coloured stalls line the streets, selling all sorts of rare and exotic items. Of course, now is not the time for shopping. At the end of the road, you also see what looks like a blacksmith. Up ahead, you see Quinn skid to a halt as a horse-drawn cart has entered into the marketplace, blocking the way out. The horse, startled by Quinn, rears up on its hind legs. The cart, and as well as the guy driving the cart, spill out onto the ground in front of you. So it's a big grain store that just spills out it's kind of blocking the way out completely. So as you catch up with Quinn, you realise you are trapped. You will not have time to clamber over the cart before the Ashai guard catch you. So from behind you, a voice bellows, "That's enough! You have nowhere to go. Come quietly and no one will be harmed." So behind you, there's about 6 Ashai guards standing there. Their spears are drawn and they're all kind of like trying to catch their breath. So what happens is Quinn sees this and he looks around for somewhere to go. And what he notices is there's the blacksmith there, and you can see there is a Durakan in there, and he's tampering away at something on his hammer and anvil. He's an older Durakan as well, so he looks like he's been around for a long time. Quinn strides over. As he's tampering that metal, on an upward stroke, he plucks the hammer out of the old Durakan's hand, and he turns to face the Ashai guard and he says, "I am no one's prisoner." He launches the hammer. It hits the guy who spoke to you straight in the head, concaving into his face, flattening it almost as the hammer is embedded deep within his skull. He drops to the floor lifeless.
Wow.
And we will now roll for initiative
Oh,
together.
oh no!
Yes, you didn't think I'd let you get through your first session with only 1 combat, did you? Ha 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 ha! Player Death's first episode. If you would like to start with your initiative over there, Jericho.
Yes, please. Here we go. It's a 17.
Oh!
Very nice.
Very good.
Okay, I guess the run got the blood pumping.
Yeah. He's limbered up a little bit now.
Doing your stretches.
Yeah, dust the cobwebs off.
Ooh, I rolled a 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I rolled an 8 plus 3, so 11.
Okay.
I rolled a 12 plus 3, 15.
Okay, very interesting.
I'm getting lost.
So it will go Jericho, Rin, Longclaw, Pollux. Now, because of the brutality of what the Ashai Guard have just witnessed, you guys will all get a free turn before they can do anything. Because of how brutal it was. They're essentially at the moment stunned and shocked, looking at their fallen battle brother, who is so dead. It's unbelievable. So it is now up to you what you would do.
I'd be surprised too.
Yeah. The other NPCs again will break off and face the rest. About 3 of the Ashai Guard, as they look up to you, 3 of them will break for you guys. So, so starting with you then, Jericho, what would you like to do?
I'm going to make a beeline for that blacksmith.
Okay, very good.
So, I think I'm going to make it 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Perfect.
Very good. So, we'll just say that for the purpose of this, you do get into the blacksmith.
Okay.
What are you doing in there?
So, as I approach the front, so he's hammerless at this point, isn't he?
Yeah, so actually he looks around and he kind of just slowly steps back and he puts a table down, and he then gets down behind it.
So he's gone.
He's just gone, no.
Right. Not worth it. So what do I see? What can I see?
So you are in a blacksmith. There are certain weapons there. You see short swords.
Yes.
There is a long sword there.
Yeah.
There is also there'd be a bow and some arrows, and there are other things as well. There's a mace, and that's it.
Shield?
No shield. Damn it.
I will take the longsword.
Okay, very
I'm
good.
gonna take the longsword, and no, I'm just gonna take the longsword.
Just longsword.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay.
And as a token, I'm gonna flick the guy a coin as well, like just behind
Thank you.
Where'd you get a coin from?
Yeah, where
I've
did
got coins. Oh no, wait, I don't have coins.
You don't have
You don't have anything.
Oh, never mind.
It's actually just some random shard of metal that you picked up. So it's like, oh, hey!
I forgot we are prisoners. Right, I will take the longsword.
Or maybe sort of some of the ground as people like would. No, just go.
No, I'm just going to take that longsword.
Okay, very good. Okay, so that is your turn done. It now comes over to you, Rin.
Okay. So yeah, I'm going to do pretty much the same thing. We're going to move towards the blacksmiths. You said there was a bow in there?
There is a bow, yes.
It's my bow now.
Okay, so you get a short bow with 20 arrows.
20.
20.
Very nice.
Full quiver.
Wow.
I will accept that. So yeah, I sort of
Bountiful.
almost in one swift motion grab it, and I don't knock an arrow, but I'm ready to sort of go
Sure, very
once
good.
it's all hooked up.
Right, Hakote, he actually, as the hammer flies, and then you suddenly hear them, he shouts out, "No!" and runs to the guard. I don't know where the guard is in relation to...
So let's just say he's in front of them there.
Okay, right, he won't go right up to them. He takes a step forward, and he looks furiously at Quinn, who just threw this hammer. And then he holds his hand up to the guards. He says, "We have no quarrel with you," and just raises both of his hands.
So one of them just looks up, and you can see like there's like a single tear falling down his face. He goes, "I will avenge my brother this day."
Right.
Hakote turns his hands, still open, but I will make a ready action.
Okay.
For if anyone comes within 5 foot of me, I will attack.
Okay, very good. That is your turn. Then that would come to you, Pollux.
Right. So as they're doing this, one of them kind of looks towards me, and I'm kind of looking at him, just going. And you can see the arm that is still quite sore that I got hit on before is starting to do this. It's almost like it's curling up like this in pain. The eyes start to go dark again, and Pollux is looking directly at them, just going, leave. And it's almost as if the pain just takes over and overcomes him, as it were. And then he looks up, his eyes are dead dark again. He plunges his hand down into the ground, and again in that dark, deep voice, you can just hear him chant, "Die." As he does, the ground starts to go almost green, almost like a fungus or like a moss starts to grow out of the ground towards I'll say the one on the left with the helmet.
Okay.
So now let me see. Should be in range. I'm going to cast Ray of Sickness, which is one of my prepared spells. So I'm using a slot.
He's using a slot.
Yep.
Very concerned about all this. You like turn back with your longsword and you just go.
So yeah.
I surrender.
So this is a ranged spell attack.
Okay.
Okay. Oh. So I rolled a 1.
Yay.
So that happens, but it doesn't quite reach him yet, and the guy's just kind of looking at him, and as I'm doing that, I kind of look back up at him again. Its moss starts to recede a little bit, but it doesn't completely go away. And through this, it's almost like I'm kind of fighting through it, trying to, almost like I'm just begging them to leave.
Okay, very good. So then that will come around to the shy guard.
That kind of makes sense though. I used to slide.
So the one that looks up at you rushes straight at you with his spear. And they also have extra movement. So he comes over. So you've drawn this sword, and you kind of turn around, and almost as you do so, there's one of them on top of you. His shield brandished. He's coming over the top to pierce you with his spear. And the next one. So there's this like decay line that's gone through, and it kind of I like to think it goes to here, and it dissipates, and he just goes witch.
Goody.
Comes over there. So as you're on the ground, he literally just comes over to you. He puts his shield in front of him, beats you in the face, and slashes down. In fact, we will start with him. So he, what is your?
Upper parts is 10.
There's a chance. So he does hit you.
Damn.
So he belts you to the ground. You kind of hit for a moment, and then you drop, and then he goes to straight through your chest, finish you off. He's not mucking about with this anymore. He does a total of only 2 damage.
Okay.
Are you still alive?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
Right, at that point, I interrupt.
Yeah.
As they've both taken the step within 5 feet of me.
Sure. Okay. Very good.
Based on, I see the slashing blow, but luckily it doesn't pierce right through you. Hakote actually grabs the end of the spear and then uses the end of it. He actually yanks it from his grip and clubs him up under the jaw. He's trying to knock him unconscious.
Sure.
And he'll then spin and bring the end of the shaft around the other one's head. So I'm going to do an attack on each.
Okay, sure. So that's the description. But
That's the description.
You're not trying to actually take the spear off them?
No.
Okay, fine.
Right, here we go. First is an 11 plus 5, 16.
Yes, that is a hit.
Okay. I do roll 4 plus 3. So 7 points of damage.
7 points of damage. Crack! He hit it. He just was not expecting that. He thought, I've just completely taken this guy down. This is a normal day in the job. As he gets smacked in the face. The second one?
Right, the second one, because I wouldn't have actually disarmed him, I'll change the description. So I imagine I did clump him with the end of it.
Yeah.
And then I spin and do a spinning heel kick into the other one's temple.
Oh, so you're attacking the other guy now?
Yes, I'm attacking the other guy.
Fair enough.
So it's again a 16 in total.
Okay, that's a hit.
D4 plus 3. Yeah, this time it's just the 4 points of damage.
Okay, very good.
Which one was that on again? Sorry, Lawrence.
The one that attacked you,
Yeah.
I've quite badly hurt.
Okay.
He's probably confused.
Oh, right, he's the one. Okay, right, cool, excellent.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. So then you do this speed. So you've engaged both of these.
I've engaged both.
Okay. Very good. Right. So one of them was the one. So the one that you turn around and hit in the head. So he kind of takes the momentum of that and he spins around and he goes to sweep your legs out from underneath you, come down with the spear on the top, and finish you off. Upper class is. No, that unfortunately that is a miss. So I'm assuming you just dance out of the way
I just
of it.
jump up in the air as you sweep me.
And then we come to the one over on you there, sir.
Yes.
So you've just kind of pulled out, shing, and as this spear just goes whoosh, straight across the side of your face.
Oh.
That is a hit.
Oh no.
He does. Unfortunately for me, he only does 2 damage. So it literally does. He goes for the headshot and it just skims across your cheek and you get quite a nasty gash across your face. But that is that. So we will now go back around to the normal initiative. It is actually your turn now, Jericho.
Excellent. So taking the gash to the face, he seems a little bit more limber with this blade, you see.
Yeah.
He seems to have a bit more fluidity. So as he takes the gash across the face, he sort of arches back round, holding it with both hands, because that means I'm doing it because it's versatile, correct? Yes. So as I take the gash to the face with both hands, because I got to say it, he will arc upwards through the guard's chest and cleaves him in half. Okay.
Do it.
And it's a 15 plus 5, that's a 20.
Yes.
I believe I hit.
Yes, you do.
Fantastic. Because it's a versatile weapon, this is 1d10 damage.
Okay.
Slashing damage.
Yes.
To be precise. That is a 7.
7 plus.
Yes. It's going to be plus my strength, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So that is
not-
10
yes.
points of damage.
10 points of damage.
10.
Ow.
Double digits.
Wow.
Ow.
Okay. Maybe note to self: don't give Jericho longsword. So you slash him. You slash him. It's almost a killing blow. You feel it. It's almost like you just miss the wrong artery at the right time, but you get him straight up the middle. So his shield almost buckles as you go straight through it. He kind of falls back. He has a huge gash down there. He is alive, but he is not in a good way.
Excellent. And he sort of brings it back around and stands ready to strike again.
Very cool. Okay, so then that will come around to you, Longclaw. No, it will come around to Rin. That is the old initiative.
Rin, right. Can I do something? Come on, Rin.
So, having seen you use this 2 cleave, I'm going to move over here. So this is all like really like difficult terrain to move over, I presume.
Yes.
Okay. So this will cost me double movement to move over, but essentially I'll almost in a single like jump up on top of the crate, knock an arrow.
So that's representing the spilled over cart.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
jumped on top of the cart. Yeah, very cool.
So I've got a little bit of more vision onto him, and in almost this fluid motion, the arrow just flies off into the Ashai's chest. He's been, he's had this cleave open. I've seen the opening. I've gone out, done the shot. 9 plus 5 is 14.
That is a hit.
Huzzah! Short bow, so 4 plus 3 is 7 points of damage.
Nice.
Now, would you like to explain how you kill him?
Yes, I will.
Did it.
So as you've done that cleaving blow, he's taken that step back. You've almost like knocked open. You felt this past you, and boom, and it feels like there's more of an impact than an arrow should. And the guy just takes this arrow to the chest where you've almost cleaved it open into the wound. And then he just like the momentum from your shot, and then this arrow instantly just topples him down. And then there's a bit of a like cough of blood as he's on the floor, and then he falls.
If you'd like to remove the
Yes, I will.
The
Double dead.
Claim your first casualty.
Nice.
Very good. Okay, very nice. So then it would come around. to Longclaw.
Okay, so obviously melee is now really kicking off around us. As I jump over the spear, which has tried to sweep me, I then turn that jump into a scissor kick and kick both of them in the head at the same time.
Very good. Very good.
Right, so this is on the one which I badly hurt that
Sure.
stabbed you before. That is only a 4 plus 5, so 9.
No, so he manages to get his shield up this
Yeah.
time. He's king.
Okay, and then in the other one, that's 13 plus 5.
Yep,
So I'm
that's a
assuming
hit.
hits. Okay, D4 damage again. This time it's 2 plus 3, 5 points of damage.
5 points of damage. You roundhouse him in the face. And he kind of spins to his knees and he kind of looks up at you and goes, "No, for my brother!" But he is not in a good way. It's almost as he says it, like he speaks and actually one of his teeth flies out of his mouth and he's knocked out.
Wow.
Cool. So then that would come around to you, Pollux.
Right. So as I've taken that knock, I mean, it didn't quite kill me, but it did a lot of damage. I'm not in a good way. I kind of crumple to the guy from the guy that attacked me's point of view. I crumple to the ground, and he looks towards I think to you Longclaw. He goes to make another attack, but somehow he feels this strange kind of energy, and he turns around, and it's me on my feet again, and I've kind of like put my hand up like this, and I just look at it, and in these deep dark eyes, I'm just looking at him and go, "Foolish or shy," and just kind of ram my hand into his chest, where I imagine there's a metal plate of some sort.
Wow.
Wait, are they armored in metal?
Well, they're
plates?
not actually. They've
Okay,
got
fine.
shields though. But I mean, you know, we're reaching.
Are these
aren't
metal?
we?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
I just thought I might be worth checking.
Yeah, they have to be wearing plate. That's my understanding of it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay, so
They
they're
have
not
to be
wearing armor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's why I check.
Yeah.
But that still happens. That's exactly what I
Sure.
do. I'm just not doing it at advantage.
Okay.
I won't need it.
Watch him roll a 20 now.
Exactly.
Oh, that's a 9 plus 5 is 14. Does that hit it? I'm casting Shocking Grasp, by the way.
It does.
Yay!
Yeah. So you hit him right in the chest. Okay. What?
All right.
So what is the damage?
It's a 1d8 lightning damage.
And this is the one who stabbed you, is it?
Yes, that guy. Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Die. 6.
Okay. If you'd like to explain what happens next.
So so he starts to really tense up, but then his muscles just kind of go limp. He just drops everything. He kind of starts convulsing and shaking. His helmet falls off, and he just collapses to the ground, dead. But for a little while, he's kind of still doing that, and I'm just kind of standing over him. And again, I just kind of crumple down again because I'm still in so much pain. But I'm just gonna take that model because he's mine.
Right, so it comes back to the last Ashai guard now. So this was the one who's just battered you off with the shield. So as he sees you collect his friend, who then is electrocuted, he just goes, "For Bahana!" Puts his spear straight over into you. Or does he? He does indeed hit you. So you kind of kick this guy and this electric stuff's gone off, and then suddenly you just feel this in your side, this piercing pain as a spear just goes straight through you. He does a total of 4 damage.
Okay.
Piercing damage, that's it.
Okay, right. So yeah, that does actually pierce me in the side. Luckily, missing any vital organs, but it goes in, and because I react so quickly, the blade is quickly taken out, but just saving my life. But you can see it's a deep wound, and I immediately clutch my side in pain.
Sure. Okay, very good. So, because there's only one of them left, it will now come around to you, Jericho.
Excellent. So, seeing him badly outnumbered, Jericho will walk forwards over to this last guardsman, continuing to find the balance of this new weapon he's just claimed, gives it a nice little swing in the hand, lifts it up with 2 hands, and cleaves downwards, removing his head from his torso.
Very good.
Understand?
Yes, I do.
That is a 9 plus 5 is 14. I believe that's a hit.
That is a hit.
Fantastic.
Yes.
That is a D10. That is 5 points of damage.
5 points of damage. Would you like to explain how you remove the head from its shoulders?
Yes, I will. So like I explained before, he finds the balance, he arcs upwards, carves the blade down, and as he does, he sort of flicks the blood from the blade as the head tumbles from the body collapses onto the floor, and he looks around for an escape exit.
Very good. Well, you made short work of those Ashai Guard, the protectors of the realm.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Well, I can see how this party is going to go.
No, don't include
I
me.
am very excited. Feel the hate flowing through you. Very good. We'll be right back in just a sec. So, as the last roll of the head of the Ashai Guard stops on the ground, you have a moment of pause. The other combat has now finished as well. Quinn seems to have taken a rather nasty cut on the top of his breast there, so he's bleeding, but you see him stand up and he kind of spits on one of the guards. He kind of looks around. And what you notice is the whole marketplace obviously was stopped and watching what was going on, and almost as one, they all kind of go and just get back to what they were doing.
Excellent.
Again, reiterates the fact that they feel like they are being conquered by these people and they do not like them. Is there anything you want to do in the immediate aftermath?
Well, Hakote stands up and he looks at Quinn. He's holding his side, which is bleeding relatively badly, and he sees him spit on this guard, and he's just staring at him.
Yeah, so Quinn just kind of looks at you and goes, And he looks at the rest of you and goes, this way.
I hop down off of the upturned sort of cart that I'm on, and I go into the blacksmith's, and I essentially just gather up some weapons.
Yeah, so as you're doing that, you see like this little old head kind of look over, and kind of goes, disappears back underneath.
Yeah. I start to get up kind of slowly, still holding my wrist.
Right, as you do,
Yeah.
I come over to you and grab you, like, quite roughly by your wrist.
As you do, I just kind of go, what?
Right, so I'll cast Lay on Hands again, so I'll give you my last 2 hit points.
Right.
And I sort of push you away a bit. Pull yourself together.
I don't say anything, I just kind of look through my forehead at you and start to make my way up and follow Quinn. But thanks.
So Quinn is kind of climbing
sorry,
over
two,
the
was it?
cart now. He's moving quite slowly. He seems to be quite injured. But as he kind of gets over the top, he seems to get his move going again. The other 3 follow him as well.
Yeah.
You've gone. Everyone else is following. You've got your weapons.
Got my weapons. I sort of hook them on and begin to climb. Are you sort of nearby at that point? Are you sort of hanging back?
No,
Oh, you've already gone.
I've followed Quinn. Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, because I was going to come and sort of say something to you, but as I sort of turn around, I see everyone's gone. I'm like, and fastening everything. I look down at the guard that I shot. Does he have anything sort of on him, like in terms of not anything like fancy, but anything like?
I mean, so he's
just
wearing a helmet. He's got his shield. His spear is not far from him. He has a pouch which has some coin in there. If you want to take that.
I'll sort of eye him up quickly, look over at the spear, just quickly go over to that, put my foot on the shaft of the spear and snap off the spearhead.
Okay.
And just sort of pocket that and then dash up and over with everyone else.
Okay.
Can I pick up one of their shields?
Sure.
I will pick up one of their shields.
Okay. You have a shield.
Tremendous.
Excellent. Well done.
The armor class is out of this world now.
So, Quinn leads you down another alleyway and then down a flight of stairs. He slows his pace as if he's looking for something. And he goes, right, this way. And he kind of goes a bit further down, and then you see him, he turns left and disappears down another alleyway. Is everyone still following?
Yeah.
Yep.
Does anyone have anything else they would like to do or say?
As I catch up to the group, I sort of come up behind you. You disapprove of him, warrior?
Yes, I do. He is a murderer.
The Ashai here are conquerors. The people do not like them. Perhaps he is local.
The people here have no gods.
Everyone has gods.
Not
Perhaps-
these people.
And he looks around the alleyways
And whose fault is that? Theirs, the circumstance of where they were born, or perhaps the Ashai that are trying to impose their own gods upon them?
We all bow to the same gods.
Yet not these ones, you say? All I
We should.
Perhaps. All I'm saying is maybe let us consider that he has assisted us thus far. Once we get out of here alive, maybe take your arms up with him then. Until then...
Why do you think he's still alive? What sort of a shy are you?
I am no Ashai, that is for certain. I know it is difficult to comprehend. The point here is a bit of a giveaway, but I am no Ashai. Not like them. I do not follow the teachings of Bahana quite as strictly. Bahana, yes. She is, of course, the mother. But my people believe in all of the gods. That Quinn, who knows what gods he believes in? Perhaps he is much like the rest of the people here and he follows the demiurge. But until
Then he
then,
will die.
after perhaps we get out of here. These Ashai, they follow Bahana. But to them,
We are as much of a criminal as the slavers that took us.
We'll never know.
We
But
could,
one was murdered before they had the chance to do anything.
well, we could have taken our chances, I understand that. But did you want to go back into shackles?
No.
Let's try and keep it that way. And I take off.
While they're doing that, I'm kind of walking in tandem with you, like side by side with you, and I don't look at you or tap you on the shoulder or anything, but you just hear me go, you have the gift of healing.
Aye.
Wow. Thank you
What for?
for your help. Where did you learn?
It doesn't matter for now.
No,
You're better to me alive rather than dead.
I'm grateful. You're better alive to me as well. I need to go home. I need to go home. I need to go home. I need to go home.
What's wrong with you?
I just need to go home. I need to go home.
I think you need to calm down a bit, son.
I am calm.
Are you sure about that? It doesn't look like it to me.
I'm as calm as I can be. We just need to get out of here.
Right. You go on ahead. I'll stay back. No one will be able to touch you from back here. Off you go.
And he keeps going.
Very good. As you come around the alleyway, because Quinn is kind of further ahead, you kind of see that the alleyway is empty, but you see that really there's kind of like a brick wall, and then there's a door, which seems to be ajar. And you hear Quinn's voice from inside, "In here, quickly!"
Yeah, I'll go through, push open the door.
Sure.
Yeah.
So everyone enters. Well, you're suddenly in this huge space. It looks like you're in some sort of old warehouse. In the center of it, and you realize as you enter, it's quite large, and you almost can't see the walls on the other side. You see Quinn, who's stood there, and he's holding a candle. He kind of looks at you all, beckons you to come. And then as you step into the building, his expression changes. He smiles and then goes, "Whew." The door behind you slams shut. You hear a prick in your neck and you fall into unconsciousness. Not again! And that is where we will end the first session of the ritual of the Blood Temple. I hope you all enjoyed that. I certainly did.
I did.
That was very, very epic. So until next time, we will see you very, very shortly. Until then, keep being adventurous.